and now we're ready and live with the Under the Scope, Episode 1, live on stream for ESN Esports, and it will be created in affiliation with Pre-Game GG, who are our lovely sponsors, and you can use ESN Esports for 20% off at the checkout. How you doing, Dualism?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Pretty good. Decent for a Friday, last day of the week. Ending it off with a bit new content. Excited. So we're just going to start. Our first episode is going to be just the recent news, the recent goings on, and in the time that we've been preparing for the episode, we've seen Liquid throw Mirage again.
Liquid and choking.
Yeah.
Is there anything to say?
So that's going to be part of our opening topic, which is ECS Season 6 Finals, which has kicked off, of course. And we've had Mibba have gone straight through the groups because they bested Astralis, in a 2-1 best-of-3 series earlier. But Cloud9 are eliminated, and Liquid or Energy are playing right now. Energy's winning on Overpass, so it's not looking good for Liquid. What are we thinking about Liquid then, Dualism? Let's start with them.
I'm not sure why you're asking me. You thought they were going to win this event, so I think you have far more to answer for.
Well, I gave them the kiss of death, really, didn't I? That didn't end well. I just felt like with our group, Liquids. With Liquids group, you had NRG in there, who Circus recently hasn't been showing a great face, to be honest. But he's come out in ECS Season 6 Finals and proved me wrong, which I'm kind of happy he's done because I think he's a really good player. North, surprise. Well, to be honest, if you look at Liquid's veto against North yesterday in the opening best of one, they banned both Dust 2 and Inferno. And they didn't ban Inferno today, but they didn't pick it. They picked Mirage over Inferno today against NRG. And what are you doing? Oh no, Liquid, what is you doing? Have they done some major map pool changes or something that I've missed? Because I don't know what's going on with them. NIP, I knew they'd do well. I love NIP. I think they're a great outfit. But I was surprised by Mibba beating Astralis. I did say Mibba would do well. You can check the preview. I did fancy Mibba at this event. I think they've been gradually improving. Fallen's in good form, so when Fallen plays well, Mibba do well, and Fallen's had a really stellar performance so far. Mouse Sports are about to get knocked out by Astralis later on, unless Mouse Sports do the absolutely unthinkable and eliminate Astralis in the group stages of a tournament, which has happened once in 2018, which was Star Series, one of the first events with the lineup. But yeah, what games have you watched then, Dualism, from the tournament?
Absolutely none of them.
That's fair enough. So if you want a quick recap of the results.
No. I kept up with them. I did keep up with the games. It's just because of work and stuff. I was at work and university, and off for my birthday seeing Hamilton. So I just literally haven't had the time.
Hamilton, so like Lewis Hamilton.
The musical Hamilton.
I've never heard of a musical Hamilton.
It's a very good musical. Would
Hamilton.
10 out of 10 recommend.
Hamilton Broadway musical. I was about to read Hamilton. The first thing that comes up is Hamilton Broadway musical. Sung
Because
and
it's
rapped through
popular.
music. Oh, it's about Alexander Hamilton. Oh, it's by Lin-Manuel Miranda. Oh, I love Lin-Manuel Miranda. Sorry. Okay. Going back to
Afterwards, we'll talk about it.
That's fair enough. ECS Season 6 then. Astralis stomped Cloud9 on Inferno. And I'm just looking now. NRG and Liquid, right? NRG got stomped by NIP on Nuke. So, even though Liquid had a bit of a poor showing against North, considering they would have gone and watched that demo and fixed everything, I think they should have took Nuke today. Because I don't think they should have just changed the map against NRG who've just been beaten on it. And you're sure you could say the same thing about NRG, but Liquid are a better team than NRG. Who knows, but they just don't have a good AWPer. Sorry, Nitro, you're a very hard-working and selfless bloke, but you're not as good as an AWPer as Cirque, that's the thing. All the top teams have great AWPers. Mibba, Astralis, both have Fallen and Device. FaZe have Guardian. Mouse have Chris J. You know, these are all top-tier AWPers, and Liquid is the only top-tier team without a great AWPer.
Yeah, but Mouse Sports also have Oscar. Don't forget Oscar.
Exactly, Oscar.
Even if Oscar sometimes forgets himself that he's actually playing CS, he is meant to be there all.
Exactly. I even forgot Oscar existed for a second because Chris J had that Mirage Ace against Liquid, which I'm just never going to forget because it's one of the saddest moments of my month. No, I'm joking. So yeah, Mibba Astralis. I wonder what maps did Mibba take. So Mibba lost Mirage 16-10, took Training overtime, and then Inferno 16-14. So Astralis haven't lost Inferno in a long time, have they? It was one of their strongest maps. Then again, every map's their strongest map. Or Liquid have tied
But
it up now 4-4. Go on, sorry.
considering the fact that MIBR managed to beat Astralis, I think it is kind of interesting the fact that you have Astralis, who are very much a cohesive team, very much about that team play, solid communication,
Yeah.
pretty much everything you'd want on a team, losing to a team where you've got the three Brazilians, sure, great, that they're a great core, but they've had their issues. The fact that they had their communication issues and have consistently quite crap, and you
Yeah.
still have Stu and Tarek who basically do not have a purpose on the team that you've basically spent a lot of money on and are still kind of lagging behind
Oh,
because the Brazilians are
you say that
doing
they
what they
have.
want.
You say that they have no purpose on the team, but what better Brazilians are there in their place? Because you've got to get a support rifler if you're not going to get rid of none of them. They've been through Bolts and Taka. If they're going to get next Cello, I mean, what's each wasting his career in ints, isn't he? Like, you know, there's. I
But the
think.
problem is that the problem is that I feel like if you're gonna spend that sort of money on players, they need to be your big performers. They need to be doing
Yeah.
something. In the same with Optic and when they picked up Yugi and Snappy, Yugi was meant to be their big star AWPer, and because he's not done much, they struggle.
Yeah.
And I think the
See,
same
if
with
you look at the
Stewie and Tarek right now.
yeah, looking at the Astralis and Mibba matchup, the actual stats, fallen at a 1.24 rating. Yeah, as I say, he needed to step up for Mibba at this event, and he has. Fair play to him. Fur 1.21, Coldzera 1.01, then Stewie and Tarek 0.79 and 0.72, and you're thinking, come on, you've got Tarek there. He's been an in-game leader. He's done AWPing. He's done star rifling. He's stepped back. He's a very versatile player, Tarek, and he is a decent player, but playing in a culture with three Brazilians and a Serbian coach under the Made in Brazil tag, with Stewie, who's just an aggressive guy with fur. Come on. The last time that the Mibba core tried an aggressive fourth/fifth player was with Phelps, and it worked in the short term, but it didn't in the long term because it was too much. And I feel like Mibba are already limiting their lifespan by replacing Phelps with a more passive player in Bolts, and then just getting a more aggressive player in Stewie back in again, and then replacing Taco with Tarek. Well, that's just stupid, isn't it? It doesn't matter about how bad Taco was doing towards the end of SK because he never actually made the jump over to MLBR. Is that what matters to me is that Taco, they could have changed the game plan a bit. I mean, they were swapping IGLs, which is stupid, granted, but Taco is never going to have great stats. Taco is going to help your team out, and I feel like while we're sitting here slating Mibba, they've just beat Astralis in a best of three, so we should probably lay off them a bit.
No, but the thing is, North managed to win DreamHack Stockholm.
Well, that's
Let's
true.
not forget that. MSL as a main AWPer beat Astralis at an event in a
Alright.
best. That was a best of three as well.
And they beat him in a best of one in the groups as well, I think.
Yeah. So realistically, I think that's the thing. Astralis are very good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're a bad team, but they aren't flawless. And actually, if
Yeah, they're
the
not.
likes of an MSL on a main AWP and MIBR, where they just have two lost American tourists who are too busy trying to find,
The
oh, what's
nearest
it called, that
Korean
big
barbecue
statue in
bar.
Brazil?
Oh, the Christ the
What's the big
Redeemer.
statue in Brazil?
Christ the
Yeah,
Redeemer.
they're just wandering around in Brazil, not speaking Portuguese, going, "Hey, can anyone lead us to that? Apparently we're in Brazil. Can you help us?" They're not doing anything.
So, I'm actually, now that we're talking about Mibba, so we're saying that they're beating Astralis. We're going to talk about Astralis for a bit, and then that's going to lead on to the next topic. And I know we're moving quite quickly, but bear in mind Astralis is going to be a big topic because let's break this team down, right? We see everyone singing the praises of Astralis, their team play, their use of a utility, the way they are aggressive and passive. At the same time, they can really change the tempo well. They've got very strong CT sides. They give Device a lot of space. All these things that I said about Astralis, right? What is their weakness? Because the only weakness they have at the moment for me is their inconsistency because they've been very consistent all year, and you can't do that forever. You can't be consistent forever. You can't be. It's physically impossible. It's human nature. You have slumps and you have pits and falls or whatever it is, and now we are seeing them in a slump yet still winning major tournaments, and that's the worrying thing. If they win this tournament, this is going to be another shaky tournament from them, but they're still winning. You know, like
I would argue Blast was a bit shaky.
yeah, I wasn't really watching. I haven't really watched much of that. I've only really watched a lot of ECS. Um,
It was not good. Let's just put it
I
that
haven't been
way.
watching recent tournaments after watching the IEM Chicago final. I've just needed a bit of a break after like that the emotions that have gone through my head as a Liquid fan. Just watching that fall apart. Watching going up against Mouse Sports, winning the first 2-1 open maps, 15-11 lead on Dust 2, and it's gone. And it's gone.
Could be worse. You could be a fan of G2.
It's true. True. In fact, we're gonna cross-reference the G2. Right, Lucky and Jax, Smiths and Existence. Take.
I I don't like it
Why not? I think you
because
explain. I know you explained
I've
the
written an
Smiths isn't the
article about
problem.
this.
Yeah, I know.
I have written an entire article. Everyone check it out.
Yeah.
Um, because
RealSport101.com.
the problem is not G2. The problem is not like a single player on G2. The
Yeah.
problem is not a single issue on G2. They have a whole host of problems that are pretty much consistent with the French scene,
Mm.
and also Shocks becoming happy is essentially the funniest thing in the world.
That's pretty true. Except Shox has got a bit of skill. Let's be fair.
No. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Back on Envy, what happened? Happy was leading. Then it was like, okay, no. MBK, you lead. Bad things happen, so Happy takes the reins back. On G2, Shox is leading. He realizes it isn't working. Says to Existence, hey, why don't you lead? I'm happy to just be along for the ride. Bad things happen. He takes the reins back.
Wow. There you go. That's a pretty historical contrast. So if we're going to split the move into two things, it's picking up Lucky and Jax and dropping Existence and Smiths. And before I get a triggered dualism at my face, I do think that dropping Smiths is the right option. I don't think his role. I don't think that his roles match G2. I think he's been severely underperforming. And while I agree that Kenny S is underperforming, I think Steele's criticism was bang on. I don't think you could have removed Kenny S and had Smiths as Nor, but I think that's like shooting yourself in the foot. Anyway, cutting
I
Smiths.
think that Smith would be shooting himself in the foot.
Cutting Smiths was definitely the right option, and getting a solid third fragger was definitely the right option. Whether,
I,
whether,
I,
okay,
but the thing is, here's another thing. Shocks was all like, oh, I want to play with people that I like. I want to have good team chemistry.
oh yeah,
Blah 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 blah. But then you bring your best friend back just to basically go, huh, after not playing for a year, you're a bit shit. You then kick him. That just doesn't seem to make sense. Why not go and pick up people that you think you'll get on with, who at least have played in the
oh,
last year? Like Smith, like he said in an interview, also at RealSport, that
little plug
once you've
there.
not played for a year, it takes time to then readjust.
Yeah.
And I feel like he was just getting to the point where you'd go, okay, now you are truly underperforming, and
Mm,
you've not learned. But then I believe that that's more of a problem of a leader not kind of
okay.
recognizing his problems. Because this has been said by other people. Smith's panicked a lot. It was almost like he'd be sat watching an angle, he'd hear something happen, and in his head he's going, "Oh no, HLTV and Reddit are going to laugh at you. You better do something." And he'll pull out of a spot, aim at the complete wrong side, and get completely domed. But that's
Well,
like if you had a leader who could say to you, "No, sit there, do your job, throw your flashes." Pat Shocks on the back every so often. That would be better.
is an existence meant to be one of the like a really good motivational IGL though? I have a clip in one of my recent articles where I said he is famed as being a very good motivation of helping the team IGL, where he makes a structured play and he's builds a structured system within the team and he's like, right, this is what you're gonna do. So I'm gonna carry on talking about Smith's move now before we get too debated talking about existence's leading and his motivation. That's whatever. Um, I do think that cutting Smith's the right idea, as I've outlined before in an article, which you can check out on the website. I think that if you're going, you need more firepower on G2. I think Bodgy needed to return to a more supportive role, so taking Gamanek would have been amazing because he's been very consistent for LDLC and Misfits. He's a very solid player, and then if you're going to cut Existence, which I wouldn't have done, I think Existence would have worked out if there was a bit more if the team had a bit more faith in him and if he sort of like had a bit more firepower at his own disposal. So I'd definitely say that cutting decisions wasn't the right move, but I can understand why they did it. So if you're going to do that, take Daviduvek as well. If Shox is going to do his happy, as you say, then bring in a duo with Amanek and Daviduvek at the end of the day.
They are an overhyped duo. I don't think they're bad, but I think as a
Ooh.
duo, they are immensely overhyped.
Okay. Are they better than Lucky and Jax?
To be honest, other than at the EU minor where they didn't do so well, I've not seen a huge amount of 3D Max to be able to make that
Hmm.
judgment. But then neither has most of the pro scene because 3D Max
I
is like
think.
what tier.
Well, exactly. Why would you sign two random players from a tier 3 team when you've got players like Amanek and Daviduvek who have played under Sean Gares, who will understand Counter Strike, who played under Alex? They played under UK IGLs for God's sake. This is why we need them. They played under a UK IGL. What more could you want?
A UK IGL who did spend the ages of like 10 to 20 in a suit like a what do you call it in a European superior scene.
Hey, he's UK in our hearts, isn't he? Right. We've gone really off track. So, did you see the Zipnix smoke glitch thing last night?
Well, I saw Nico crying about it on Twitter and then saying, "Well, I wasn't naming anyone. I just thought it was really dodgy, and I'm sending my army of 10-year-old FaZe fans to their door."
So, I'm going to get the thing up on stream right now. So, we have got, and we're just going to play the clip. I recommend you go and watch the clip. It's in the, yeah, I recommend you go and watch the clip. Um, you see here, Zipnix in jungle, through the smoke, randomly just hits almost all of his bullets at the end of his mag. And kills the guy through the smoke without knowing he was there. So a lot of people have been sort of like, whoa, what's this? But as you can see in the video I'm watching now, this guy sort of like zooms in on it and sees that you can actually see Coldzera's feet, like Zipnix claimed he could. So if you see
No,
here, you can
clearly,
see
clearly he
movement at
was
the bottom.
hacking. Obviously, Astralis would go to the
You see
ECS
here,
Six
guys, in the
finals,
stream,
plug in their
this
mouse,
movement.
and use wall hacks.
Well, you know,
And obviously, the admins are just huge Astralis fans, so they're
yeah.
just going to allow that to
Oh,
happen.
obviously.
Obviously, they're gonna see him staring straight through a smoke at Coldzera and going, "Yeah, no,
The
that looks
spray.
good. That's fine because I love
See,
Astralis."
let's say, right, that Zipnix didn't see those feet. Here's my possible theory on what could have happened, right? I'm sure that pros do this. I know there's that freestyle glitch. I doubt they do that because that's scummy, right? Have you ever thought about setting a bind to change CL underscore crosshair style 1, HUD underscore show target ID 1, waving your crosshair through a smoke and then doing it and then changing it back? Like, it's not even like cheating. There's nothing wrong with it. All you're doing is changing your crosshair. People change their crosshair to line up smokes. So,
Yeah, I know. I saw some tweet about that on Twitter.
yeah, it's by me.
Obviously, you don't really. Yeah, you wouldn't see a tweet anywhere else. Um, the thing is, the problem, like, if we're using that as a comparison, Zip doesn't shake or scan. He literally just
He just
looks into the
knows.
smoke. A very common angle. The thing is, commonish angle to get into like looking into jungle, and also he knows what other pro players are most likely to do. He knows they're not going to just stand in the middle of a smoke and just go, I'm just gonna wait here for this to fade while I'm in the middle of nowhere. You're gonna be going close to a wall or
Yeah.
trying to like get a closer angle or what Cold Zero was doing. Like they're a team that studies. They know
Yeah.
roughly what to expect from the other players in a lot of
Mm,
situations. I
yeah.
think if it had been like completely out of the blue and there would be no reason for him to be looking there, okay, it looks weird, and you might say, "Oh, there's a funny setting going on there," but watching it, it doesn't look unusual.
So I'm going to bring up a. I'm going to obviously do both sides of the argument, but I'm trying to figure out how I can do this on the stream. Oh, I'm just going to show my taskbar. Who cares, right? So you can see here, this tweet is from twitter.com/nosrs3 Norse. You can see here I'm showing my cursor. I don't know if you can see it, but right by the red is on the legs. You can see his feet. There is a gap in the corner of the smoke, so Zipnix could see his feet.
But
But
then, is this the photo that was like really low on the ground?
yeah,
So like the line of sight for an actual player would have been different if I
Exactly.
remember it right.
But I'm just saying it's possible that the legs were visible. So any movement could have been detected by Zipnik's eyes, which stares at his computer and stares at Global Offensive for many hours at a time.
Although, as somebody else said, but aren't the because this was um, from a demo viewer, so like the
Yeah,
what you call it,
what it,
yeah, it was rewatching the demo,
yeah.
but the smokes aren't the same in demo.
Ah.
Like, as in they're in the same spot, yeah. Like it will land somewhere,
But
it
it
will
might pop in a
burst into
different.
smoke. Yeah, the actual shape of the smoke, I guess, is different for everybody who
Yeah,
looks. So while there might be a gap in one demo, you could get seven others that don't have it, or
right.
whatever. I don't know the.
So it's very difficult. I don't think Zipnix cheats. I think anyone who thinks Zipnix cheats is just a bit spends too much time on r/vac sucks. Maybe has some maybe has some like foil on their heads in their free time. I don't know. But I'd said,
They wouldn't be a top team for as long as they have if a they're in theory their best skill is the fact that they found a setting to look through smokes. I
oh
don't think
gosh,
that's
yeah.
what would make you a top team.
Imagine
I don't think that would be the thing to give you the edge over
exactly.
every other
We talked
team
about it
without being
earlier on.
detected.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier on. We've sung the. Well, I've listed all the reasons that a lot of people praise Astralis. Their teamwork, their solid CT play, and if you think that that is from them being able to see through a smoke, then I'm sorry. Even if he's using this NVIDIA freestyle glitch, you're really just stupid, aren't you? I'm sorry, but they are a really good team. They practice really hard. They stay together all the time, and they have a they get it because they graft. It's like everything in life. You get there by working hard. You don't get there by having loads of skill on a team and hoping it works. But your point is, you instill a regime. I think Carrigan actually instilled the regime at first, but then Glaive has sort of like made it more serious. He's pushed it on, and Magis helped the team just sort of have a better personality, I presume, than Kirby, because what they were taking what seemed like a loss of firepower for a more like consistent player that could step back, and it's just allowed Device and Dupree to go ham. So it's definitely worked. Anyway, what was the other topics we want then? Other topics because right,
Could I quickly jump in
yeah,
on that though?
go on.
There was an article, it's somewhat old, and I can't remember the website, so it's not a particularly useful story, but I'll go with it. But Richard Lewis wrote about it was around the time I think that Kelly in the French scene and SF and all that got banned,
Yeah,
and he kind of documented all of the times where people had been using exploits or had been obviously caught cheating in various ways.
yeah,
And there have been these sorts of things in the past where players can see through smokes or, you know, have some level of advantage over opponents. But the thing is, players know that they're doing it. Like
yeah.
players on
Taco
opposing
tweeted that he knows
teams.
that players are doing these exploits. Yeah,
Yeah. So actually, if Astralis had been doing it what they've been a top team since I don't know, like they've been
they've
among the
been a
top for
top
however many years.
team for
Some
yeah.
yeah, like somebody else before now at an ECS finals would have pointed it out, seen it, or exposed them for it before now. At the
Mm,
major that would have been a good time to use it. I've discovered a thing where I can see through smokes. Won't use it at the major. No, that's too important. I'll use it at ECS randomly against a team that we should beat. Yeah, why not?
well, yeah,
And we're still going to lose to them. Oh gosh, wow, what a great exploit. Yeah.
yeah. Useful exploit, wasn't it? Oh, but guys, clearly they're through the end of the maps to make it seem like they were bad. Ah, come on, get a grip.
Because if you're willing to cheat to try and get an advantage, you're going to throw your games. Because Astralis are gentlemen, so and they're
Yeah,
nice guys, so they finish last.
Glaive is over 6 foot, so you know he's got a bit of class about him, hasn't he? Okay, so we're gonna take a break from the EU scene, and we're gonna talk about the mess that is the North American scene, where you have NRG, which is just a bunch of 20-year-olds trying to make it. Good luck to them, with Daps in there as well, and Fugly. I like NRG, no offence to them, but I'm really salty at the moment. I wonder why. Liquid, which just seems to be in disrepair, and down in the the doldrums of the Mountain Dew League, it's come out that players Exotic has been land dodging again for his new team. Can't win a LAN. Well,
Exotic, more like ex-toxic.
uh, well, you definitely can't win a LAN, mate, if your AWP is going to land dodge like he did to Splice. I don't. Right, the culture of land dodging. Let's talk about that. People are saying, "Oh, he's fear of flying. He's insecure." Right, I'm sorry. If you dream to be a CS:GO player, I don't care. If I was like really good at CS, I got invited to go to a LAN. It's a dead important LAN. I don't care whatever physical or ailments I have, whatever fear I have. If it's my passion, it's what my future is. I'm going to get there, and I'm going to do it. He's clearly not dedicated, and if he's land dodging, come on. I mean,
And actually, also, if at 17 you've managed to dodge two lands in a row for, as you
decent.
say, like something that would be a dream for like most players that are
Yeah.
at that stage, you do kind of think, you know what? A, no team should pick him up, regardless of talent.
Oh, he should. He
And
should be done. He's done now. He's got to be, hasn't he?
yeah, but you so know that this is NA we're talking about. Some
Yeah.
idiot team will pick this kid up, they will make it through a qualifier, or they'll get invited somewhere, and then 2 hours before their first game, it'll be like, "Oh, this kid's not shown up. Who? Oh, where is he? Oh, he's not done it again, has
Oh, he's
he?
done it again.
Oh,
Oh, I'm so
oh, naughty
surprised.
boy. Oh, go to another team and do it again because we apparently don't learn."
Oh God, yeah.
I will say I don't agree. Well, actually, no, it's not. I don't agree. I'm not 100% sure on the fact that Face It obviously demoted him from FPL,
Oh, I think
despite
that's
it
great.
being unrelated to them.
It should be pretty clear, right? That if this guy wants to play with the pros, he has to play with them on LAN too. If he wants to,
Yeah, yes,
so he
but
should be kicked from
two
FPL.
different companies.
Well,
And actually, if things like bans, like if you get banned on ESEA, you're allowed to go on to Face It, regardless of that,
hmm.
and play. So
Well, he's gonna
actually,
get
if
banned on
you're
the
gonna,
SCA like that Arky Monday guy, isn't he?
yeah, but like I say, if if you got banned from ESEA for an unrelated reason, let's say I don't know, you're really toxic on ESEA and you get banned. Why should Face It then be able to go? Oh well, because you've done that, we're gonna punish you for something you've not done on our platform.
This is a lot more serious though, isn't it? This is land dodging at a professional level. This isn't some golden over scrub.
Yes, but at the same time, I think it sets a bit of a weird precedent. If you're not gonna tackle something like cheating,
True.
I do think. Actually, surely the cheating is far more of a danger to your platform than most other things. Like most people aren't going to get to the point where they're going to LAN. So actually, LAN dodging is almost yeah. Obviously, that's exclusive to FPL. Like okay, that's only a few hundred players. But actually, okay, so I can go to ESEA, download my Word .exe files, cheat my ass off, and then go, oh, I got banned. That's hilarious. Anyway, I'm going to go and play quote quote totally legitimately on Faceit.com, where the
Mm.
pros play.
That's the thing. You should be cross-banned between platforms because the only reason that these cross-party platforms exist is because the Valve system is rubbish. So if the Valve system was better, these would not be very popular. And if you get banned on the Valve system, the one system, then you get banned forever, don't you? So I definitely think that in certain cases, I'll say, in some cases, like Exotic's case, you should not be allowed to land dodge, go onto a different platform, play for a main team, and then do it all over again.
But then at the same time, where are we drawing that line? As I say,
Yeah.
if someone's toxic on Face It, do they get banned on the ESEA now?
No, as I say, it's different, isn't it? Yeah, it's difficult to draw the line, but in life you have to draw lines, don't you? Lines
But
have to
then,
be drawn.
yeah, but like, let's look at Smooya. Why not? On his ESEA profile, if you look through the last 3 years, he's been banned on there about 6 times,
It's true.
mostly for things like malicious activity or like messing with the server, disconnecting, all that sort of stuff.
It's true.
He's been banned about 6 times. Face It have never gone, oh, he's too toxic for FPL. We better not allow him there. They've sat
It's
there and gone,
true.
silly. And actually, if you're going to take quite a harsh stance on behaviour regardless of where it is, you can't then say, okay, because Smooth is popular, we're just gonna allow
Yeah,
him to
exactly.
behave
That's
badly
true.
on another
I'm
platform,
gonna
and that's
retract what I
fine.
said. Then I'm gonna take a step back because you are right. To be fair, I mean, yeah. Do you think exotic? So you think exotic shouldn't have been kicked from FPL?
I think put him on trial, like you did for like players that have not necessarily directly, because actually also we do not know the circumstances of this.
True.
Yes, he is land dodging, and yes, that automatically is
Yes, it's a
pretty
repeat
cunty to do
offence.
to your team. Yeah, fair enough. That is quite bad. But at the same time, we actually don't know. So actually, if then ESEA look into it and they then conclude actually he was dodging for no good reason, okay, take that action. But while we actually don't really know what's going on, put him on trial because you don't know. You can't just say, oh well, ESEA have said he's dodged and we know no context, but he's getting thrown out of FPL immediately.
True.
Because I doubt that there's two legitimate
It's
reasons
difficult,
for
isn't it?
like yeah, but I just think it's finding somebody guilty immediately at 17, and you do think when you're 17 you're gonna be a bit stupid like that.
Well, yeah. I'm 16. You think about it. Yeah, I make stupid mistakes every day.
You're
When
gonna think, oh, I can't be asked to go to this LAN, like, oh, it's gonna be a waste of time, we're just gonna lose, so I'm just gonna stay at home. Well, okay, you might have that level of dumb reasoning. Yeah, get kicked from FPL because you don't have the right attitude. But if you're sat there and actually you have some sort of legitimate reason, yeah, okay, you need to take a step back because you shouldn't be in those teams, but actually you can grow up and grow out of that poor behavior or poor mentality.
mm, it's difficult. I don't know. It's a very. I think it's like you got a case of a guy who was screwed over his entire team, right? He's screwed over probably opponents who have been anti-stratting against him. So, oh yeah, sure, they'll be happy that he's gone. But at the end of the day, it ruins the integrity of the tournament because one of the players who like, oh, Zotic's going to play online. Do you remember online when everyone liked him? Because it's true, people rated him for a time. He seemed like a decent player. But now we're into this position where he's thrown his whole career like away. It seems to me
I do think if this is genuinely
a
for no
genuine
good
dodge.
reason, yeah, if he actually has just gone, oh, do you know what? Like, I actually can't be bothered to show up, or oh, yeah, like that sort of level of that's not an excuse. I do think, yeah, but then it's his NA, so I say he's done, but hmm,
Well, yeah, with NI, it doesn't matter, does it?
he'll end up on bloody cloud 9 if Golden doesn't get better at this rate. I
And
mean, they're
now,
not making it to lands from now on, so you know.
speaking of NA, we're going to move to a different team of NA and a tournament that they're going to be participating in with your favourite team. It is called DreamHack Open Winter. I've stuck the group stage up on the stream. So the groups are as follows. Dualism, if you haven't seen them, it's in Group
No, no,
A.
I have it. Don't worry.
Alright. You've got the groups up for DreamHack Winter. What are you looking at that then? You're thinking, who are you thinking? You've got Ents Optic in there, G2,
Group
LDLC.
B. I understand that the B
St-
stands for bullshit because
that is
like
such a
that's just a
stacked group.
bullshit.
Yeah, whoever made that group needs to get fired, not gonna lie. It was a
Because other like
random seeding, guys. Okay.
I'm looking at that just going, okay. I don't know whether Smiths and Existence are kicked before
Well,
this or are they
exactly.
going to be there? Because like I wanted to go and I wanted to do press, but then I thought I don't want
Well, he's
to
got to
spend however
Sweden.
much money. Yeah, I was going to go out
Well,
for the weekend. I was like, yeah, I'll just go. That'll be a laugh. When I first heard G2 were announced, then I think it was like the day after they were like
was it
Smiths and
Nell's
Existence getting
report?
kicked,
Yeah.
they announced that they were going. So then I'm like, is it going to be an ECS season 5 moment where they'll play up with that team until the LAN and then they'll swap? Because
Oh, that was
if I
awful.
rocked
That
up in
situation
Sweden,
with the last ECS, wasn't it? Where they just didn't practice and
yeah,
brought the new team. I didn't understand that.
yeah, 5 days of being established, and they went, haha, bye MBK, fuck you, and then
Mm.
brought in
They
Existence and
must
Smiths.
have pre. They must have preemptively agreed to have them play ECS Season 5 finals, then there were other clerical errors or something, which meant that it was delayed or what. I don't know. Who knows? But
But the thing is, it was only official a few days before
well,
ECS.
I know.
So I genuinely think that was just Shox being the massive like diva, going, no, no, we're playing with my people. I don't want to play with them. I want to play with my
J'aimerais
friends because on this
ami, s'il
playground I
vous
don't want to
plaît.
play with the other boys.
Je voudrais, je voudrais jouer avec mes amis, s'il vous plaît. I would like to play with my friends, please, and that is Shoxy for you. So yeah,
And that is a French GCSE.
oh, I did French GCSE French, and I got a B. So
Same.
fair enough. The listening is the worst part, isn't it? The listening
No,
exam.
the speaking is the worst
Oh, I
part.
didn't mind the speaking. I'm really
I could
loud
write,
and
I could listen, I could
obnoxious.
read. The minute I was speaking, I'm like,
Our school all
je
hate the listening.
jouais le foot avec
Yeah.
mon frère dans
Nice.
le parc.
It's actually different now
Oui,
because we
but
sat. I sat the new GCSE, and it's actually a lot different now, where the listening has been made so much more difficult. Literally, your old higher listening is now what like the foundation listening is, and then made even like harder. So I don't know. Anyway,
normally it's just somebody in French speaking really, 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 really quickly, but they'll say one word and they're like,
yeah, but
oh, what were they
what wasn't
ordering in the
helpful
restaurant?
is in the hall that we were using for the exam, which is like our like lecture theatre for our assemblies. The speakers in there were like, it was awful. Anyway.
Oh, that's good, because French accent plus distortion is just
Yeah.
clarity.
Yeah. I feel sorry for the people who failed in our like year now because they just got that. You just right. DreamHack Winter groups. NRG have eliminated Liquid 16-7 in other news. We'll go on to that after this.
Oof.
Um, I'm not crying. You're crying. Group A. Well, Existence Galaxy are gonna have a very, very short and sweet land debut against relevant
Or
teams.
they're gonna go. Ironically, they're gonna be like LDLC, but not at that tournament, and then just
And then
Stormroll.
LDLC
That's
will
not the phrase.
finish last. LDLC and Existence Galaxy. No, I think LDLC and it's a toss up between Complexity and Heroic. Complexity haven't been playing great recently. Heroic is sort of like they've showed a good face before at other tournaments, so we'll see. I think it's
I
a toss up. I don't
think that
know.
Heroic could do it
They
because I
could.
think that people have been sleeping on them.
People do sleep on Heroic. I like Asilian. I rate Asilian. Just saying.
Freiburg.
No, just don't do it. Don't go there. Don't go there. I know you're gonna try and rate Freiburg.
No, I'm not. No, I just think he just seems like a nice guy. Like I feel like if he's the sort
He
of guy that
did
if you
get
drop
bullied a
something,
bit
he'd
too
help
much
you
by the
pick it.
community, didn't he? Oh, you know when like with all the he was made into an absolute mockery, wasn't he?
I do think that
I know you're thinking Smiths as well. You're thinking everyone does that for
shut up.
Smiths.
No, do you know what? Let's just leave my son alone for
Hold on.
5 minutes because nobody.
I thought you did GCSE French, not Lifetime. Anyway, Complexity and I'm gonna go LDLC because they've got Amanek actually. Yeah, we'll give it Amanek. And
For
because
the
they've got
memes,
the UK
I would just go
influence.
with the complete opposite teams.
Group B ends Optic Bravado GT. Right, let's take Bravado out the
Easy for
equation.
Bravado.
They've cut one of their players, I think. I don't know.
Still easy. G2 have cut two, so do you know what? Easy for Bravado.
Yeah, but G2 are replacing Smith, who was he can get about as many
Don't.
kills as I can in the
Don't.
game.
Don't overrate yourself.
It's all right. I'm golden over one.
So Smith.
Not too much far. I was gonna say I'm not too far away from Smith, am
I'm kidding. I love Smith.
I? I know you do.
He's not that bad. He does what's needed.
Okay. We're not even going to go back down the Smiths route because I am sure that we will spend an entire podcast talking about Smiths.
I'm just gonna make the Smiths podcast on the side, and
Oh,
it'll
for
just be
God's
me
sake.
crying. Just
Crying
look,
for an hour.
the day that he's removed from G2, it will just be an hour of me like
Oh.
grossly sobbing into my microphone, going, "What did I do to
Do you
deserve
know what the
this?"
world will do then? Just to have a go at me, they'll cut Amanek and get Smiths on LDLC, and I will be so angry if they did.
Amanek will go to Cloud9.
Oh, shut up! I'm angry now.
Do you know what? I think that like Cloud9, it's
sorry,
ironic
but that would
because
actually
you'd
be
think
a
that
sick
Cloud9
move for
would be
Golden.
heaven for a lot of people,
Just saying,
but
that would be a sick
clouds
move
are
for
in
Golden.
hell now.
That would
Do you
actually
know what?
be a
Leave
sick...
Golden alone as well.
I like Golden, but Kia. I also
seems-
think Kia's
seems
a
like a
decent
nice
idea.
bloke. he got
Feel
so
awful for him.
screwed over. Like
Yeah,
I
he
think
should not
that
have been kicked
I
from Fnatic. If he was not, if he
no
was on Fnatic right now, they'd be a top 5 team. Just saying. That's
I
probably a
just
stretch, but I don't care.
it just I feel like I have that sort of when a player just gets like the really crappy end of things, I just immediately go, I really like you because you've survived.
Yeah.
Like Dead Fox. I actually really
Oh
like Dead
no.
Fox. Not as a player, look, as a
Imagine
player I don't think he's very
cooking Bondic over Dead Fox. Like, what are you
but
doing,
the thing with
Hello?
Dead Fox, he plays a despicable positions, let's never forget that. But oh, okay, can I tell the story of him and the microphone?
Yeah, but then we need to do Group B.
Okay, yeah, he couldn't plug the microphone onto himself at the media day. No
No.
other player had problems, and he just couldn't quite attach it to his jersey, so he had to look at me and the other guy with me going, can you help? I can't clip it to myself.
Oh my god.
He's a living meme.
He's like
Anyway,
he's like most boys, immature and doesn't know his way around technology. Well, but most men.
ooh,
Just saying. Ad-
I'm making no comment because that would make me either a feminist or what the other one, so
it's all right.
I
You,
am neutral on the position of men.
so Ents, Optic, Bravado, GT. Let's take Bravado out of it again, as I say. Ents, they look good, but Optic have looked solid, more solid recently. I think it depends on what G2 is there as well. So yeah, two. I want you to tell me your thoughts, and I'll be back in a second, everyone.
It's just going to be easy for G2. If there's Smiths there, easy for G2. That's like, there's no other conclusion that needs to be drawn here. I mean, Smiths can throw flashes, he can throw smokes, he can throw, HE grenades, he can throw incendiary and Molotovs. And, if he felt like it, he could probably throw a decoy, which is, it's not got the most use, but I'll take a decoy. He's throwing it. He can also hold angles, like he's a person. He is a body, but not the body. He's a body, not the body. But yeah, like I wrote an entire article about why Smiths is a god. Well, no, not that far, but yeah, valid. What? I was totally not propagandering about Smiths.
Fair enough. I'm sorry about that. That's really
No
unprofessional,
worries.
but I'm not an adult, so I
Like
can't
I
really
say,
do
I was preaching about Smiths.
that. Okay, so I think it
I was saying about
depends.
all the things he could like throw.
Like his career.
Throw yourself in the bin.
Okay, so Optic or Ent. I don't think G2 will win because A, their roster with existence and Smith is not good enough. B, their roster with Lucky and Jax, there's not enough practice. So I'm going to take Ents and Optic to advance.
I am gonna say
She's gonna say.
G2
Yeah,
because
she's
it's
gonna
just
say.
funny. See, Ents or Optic. Hmm. Every time I've believed in Optic,
The
I've been
failed.
screwed over.
Ooh.
So
You're going for the
in
finish,
my
boys.
heart, I want Optic, so I'm gonna go for Ents. And if they let me down, I will cry a little bit.
You're going for.
I'll be happy
You're going
whoever I'll
for.
be happy whoever comes out of Group B as long as
You're
G2
going for Ents and
pulls it.
G2. You're going for
Yeah, and
Ents.
also Heroic and LDLC in Group A because I memed on.
LDLC and Heroic. LDLC, Heroic, and Ents and G2 for you. Ents Optic, Complexity, LDLC for me. I'm going to take Optic to win the event. I'm going to have faith in the Danes.
Actually, no. I'm not actually going to say Ents. Okay, because I noticed I picked LDLC and Heroic, so I have the French and the Danish people in there. So I actually have to say Optic for Group B because
Ah,
then I
so
have the
you
Danish and
Dane.
French again.
Fair enough. Can't deny with that amendment to your prediction. Gonna
Because also
take
now, if G2 somehow does make it out the groups, I'm going to look like a goddamn prophet.
if G2 somehow claws their way to a victory.
G2 to win DreamHack Winter. There's
Nah,
my bold
I
prediction.
predicted them to win Dream at Valencia in like one of my first ever articles.
Oof.
That didn't end well. You see why I don't have any faith in them anymore.
I
They've,
have all of the faith. If this is the roster with Existence and Smiths, they win this event.
oh my days.
If it's the other roster, there's no point. Like, nah, maybe not. Like, the odds are skewed then. But if the Smith's MVP of DreamHack Winter 2018,
I tell you what, if I ever see Smiths with an MVP sticker, there needs to be a forfeit that I'll do if Smiths gets MVP at like a decent event.
never forget that Smiths was on the top 20 players list on HLTV before.
And pigs might fly. So because you've been nice to some Danes in taking opposite because the Danish link, we're going to talk about another thing in the Danish thing, which is not a happy occurrence at all for anyone. So we have Bubski's left Fragsters. So for anyone who hasn't been aware, he's been suffering with mental issues from the grind of CS:GO, and he's been having panic attacks, hasn't been getting a lot of sleep because he's really nervous to perform. So he's just taking time out to go and help his mental health. And in the meantime, he's leaving Fractured so they can find a permanent fifth. And he said, to quote, "There are permanent social differences that meant the roster couldn't last anyway." So, Bubs is horrible, isn't it? I feel
I
horrible
think
for him.
it's a classic example of how unless you are the Astralises or the Phases or the like Navis of the world, it's very easy to forget how for a rising player or even a player on a smaller team, you're still usually a 20-something-year-old guy who's not got a lot
He's
of life
20.
experience,
Yeah,
who
he's 20.
is basically told, here is something that you have to treat like your full-time job, regardless of whether the organisation that you're under will pay you that sort of salary. You're expected to practice, you're expected to go to events, you're expected to kind of give everything to that organisation and to the team. And because DK wrote an article how he said that unless you are an Astralis where you have a psychologist and all sorts of people keeping an eye on you, you're on your own. Even though you've got a team with you, your team most of the time doesn't want to hear that you're not sleeping. They just want you to show up and perform well in the server. They don't care. They don't care if you're not sleeping as long as you show up, get headshots, you're fine.
Uh, I just feel horrible for him because, as you say, he's just a young guy who's been put into this tough position, and now he has to perform and he has to X, Y, and Z. So I feel horrible for Bubsky, and I hope he fixes his health issues and he overcomes his demons, shall we say. Is there anything else you think is an interesting topic for the podcast? Because I don't really know. There was nothing else that I could really find that I thought, oh, that's worth talking about. What do you think?
Uh, there's that. There's the what's the event? It's in Thailand. The
Oh, the Toyota
Toyota.
Masters Bangkok. I haven't kept up with it. Because I know that Ty Lee were eliminated on the first day, and I used it in a debate because I was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, it was. They literally got 0-2'd by Alpha Red. I think is
Alpha
the.
Red, yeah, and then they got beaten by another irrelevant Chinese team that was it Cyberzen? I don't know.
I've like the
This is
thing
where we
is I
need
don't
bread.
follow. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't follow the Asian scene a huge amount. Like I vaguely know names, but yeah, like Tyloo should not have crashed and burned the way that they.
Well, I think Thailand had some poor results recently. Everyone's saying, right, it's time to make a change. I don't know about Thailand roster changes. I don't really keep up.
Bring back Bondic. He's free.
Well, that's a good shout.
That would actually be hilarious if he just ended up going. Do you know what? I quite liked being on a team
Well,
where I couldn't understand what was going
if
on.
Bentet learns Russian as well, then they can call in English, Chinese, Indonesian, and Russian. Wouldn't that
Their
be?
comms will be great because actually, no other they could release their comms and no team will be able to understand what the
Yeah.
hell is going on because nobody will be able to translate
I
all of
think
the
Bentet
elements.
has
They
to
would
take
be
like a he has to take like a 2 litre water bottle to every game. So he's like, my voice is running out, guys.
That just must be so frustrating. Like regardless of whether you can pull that off, you're just there like, oh god, I can't even take it easy this game because I'm having to be like the mouthpiece.
Yeah. Well, that's it, isn't it? I feel bad for Bentet. He's a good player, isn't he?
He is, but then
I don't think he's as good as
it's.
people say he is, though. I will say. People
I
think he's
think
like
it's.
the second coming of Christ, but come on, that's clearly Dom. No, I'm joking. It's
I
Zywu.
think it. I think it's hard to really judge a player when they only play once a month at most against actual top tier teams.
And they're calling in
Because
three different languages
yeah,
to
I
a
mean that
bunch of
too.
absolute yeah.
Because even then, it's like I will always remember this. It's a quote from a Kenny S interview where they ask him, "What sort of AWPers do you not like playing against?" And he goes, "Well, it's always the ones you don't know because you don't know what they're gonna do." And he said that's the same, like, and that's the same for all teams. If you're playing up, if Astralis plays phase, they know what to expect mostly. Sure, they don't know new strats or what they're gonna pull off, but you vaguely know who's playing where, and oh, if they do X, it means Y. If it's a team you've never played before, even if you've studied their like demos a bit, you're probably not all that prepared. And I think Tyloo had that sort of element where
The unknown
initially,
factor.
yeah, initially people are like, what the hell is this weird like Asian style of CS where they're just kind of they're not really they're just rushing and they're just getting these kills and they're doing all of that. But the more that teams play against them, the more you go, oh, okay, right, that this is how they play. We'll learn to counter that, and they will just get shut down.
Vega Squadron. It's true.
Yes.
Vega Squadron. Once they got figured out, that's it. Start the major, look at they're going to be upset in the early stages, they might get a couple of wins against all the lower tier teams. Once they come up against high tier opposition that prepare really hard and have seen their Vegas antics before, well, that's it, isn't it? They lose.
Oh, but they're a shark. Ha 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 ha.
Oh, Virtus Pro. I'm not gonna.
Oh, the
What?
logo.
Just
Blech.
disband. Just disband. Let Snatchy do things in the scene. Let Pasha be like a streamer. Let Neo find happiness in a different career, or I don't know, be a coach or something. I don't know. Just
I think that that is kind of interesting actually because a lot of players right now, like the quote unquote oldest players right now, are about 30-ish. Like Zeus, Edward, Neo, Forest. If you look at all of the players who are of that big, of course, all of those players, and you look at their mechanical skill, most of them are not at the level they were, let's say, 5 years ago, let
well,
alone 10
exactly.
years ago when they were like first playing. And actually, if coaching was more valued and actually kind of had more prestige attached to it, a lot of these veteran players could make incredible coaches for lower tier teams
Oh
and
yeah.
make that lower tier far more interesting. But for like the players, I feel like they don't want to give up playing because it's a reliable paycheck. And why would you go and be a coach? Nobody respects a coach. Nobody cares about coaching unless you're a Zonic or somebody who's actually made a name for themselves, but almost like chooses to coach. It's almost like a it's seen as like an unfashionable thing to do if you wanted to go and
If
like
I was a
coach a
pro
team.
and I had to retire, the first thing I'd love to be a coach. I'd love to be one now. I don't have the good knowledge of the game or knowledge of how to coach, so obviously I wouldn't do it. But I think it'd be a great thing to do. I'd enjoy it really much. Looks like a great
It's
thing.
interesting.
Help out a lot of people. Look at Yanko. He looks like he's loving his job.
Yeah, but then I think that it does require a very specific mindset. But actually, if you're, especially if you've been in IDL, you probably have the mindset of, okay, I know how to get people to listen to what I'm saying, and I can give those instructions, and I
Yeah.
have a tactical view of the game. But I think it's almost like, let's say Neo went, okay, look guys, I'm not really so hot right now. I want to retire and I want to go and coach. Oh, let's just say AGO. Psychologically, even if actually that's a perfectly like reasonable thing to do and he could like do good things with the team, in everybody's mind it's like, oh well, you step down from like a good team to go to some nobody team. even though that's where the coaching would be the most valuable.
Yeah.
There's no point making Neo coach FaZe.
Exactly. What's he going to provide input on? Like, the point is, you can pass your knowledge to improve the lower echelons of CS.
And I think that's the same for also the less developed scenes, like in Asia.
Look at Fragsters. If
It's a good
their coach is like the older brother of one of the players. Let's say they had bloody. Let's say Carrigan gets kicked from FaZe, decides to go into coaching. If they had Carrigan as a coach, what like that would be an amazing team. I'll become a fan of them because they've got such good like influence behind in the server. Like
yeah,
oh, obviously Carrigan's not going to retire and become a coach, but that's a hypothetical situation.
yeah. But I do think it is because I know because didn't Richard Lewis do a video about why would anybody want to be an IGL nowadays?
Yeah, who the F would want to
And I
would
think
be
that
an
the
IGL
same
these days.
yeah I think the same can be said for coaching
Hmm.
because unless, as I say, unless you're a Zonic, where you're very well established in your team, everybody really
Was
likes
it
and respects you, and you have put the work in, nobody really cares about the coach. Look at Peacemaker. The
Well,
minute that you try and overstep your boundaries, you will just get passed around like a basketball.
I mean, if you're going to look at Zonic, right, in my interview with Thorin, look that, you see that Thorin mentions why Zonic is such an impactful coach. The reason that Astralis have such a good style is their historical counterpart, their stylistic similarity, their style comes from MTW.DK of 2006, and Zonic was a player in that, or the leader, and
Yeah, he was. Wasn't that the team he was in with Ave? No
yeah,
scope.
Ivan Trace, I think. He look, he's been a part of this team and he's had this system in MCW.DK of how you dominate games and how you deal with this, that, and the other, and he's brought that forward now to Charlotte. And look what good it's done to them over time.
But then
So
I think that's also a thing. You've said that over time, and I think that's the key part. Teams or more so organizations, especially like the bigger the organization, the less time they will
give a coach,
dedicate to
yeah.
creating a system. Look, like even with FNS on Cloud9, he lasted
Ah,
what like
2 months.
4 days of non-tournaments or whatever
Yeah,
on that team, because an organization doesn't have time to sit there and wait for you to become good or to impart your wisdom onto people. They go, okay, right, we've brought in this player or this coach, results now. Even though for anybody that has what like Astralis were not a top team the minute that they formed or that core formed.
yeah,
That's taken time and that's taken getting the right players, getting the right system, getting the right coach, having the right framework. But most organizations are not going to be willing to invest that sort of manpower or that sort of money in having a coach that you're paying well enough to want to put the effort in, that feels respected, that knows that if they don't get results in the first month, they're not just going to get kicked. Like, I think that's the fluidity of how a team or an organization will just go, okay, yeah, we'll bring in this person. Okay, did you win the first event? No. Okay, bye.
yeah.
Becomes a real problem, and I
I
think
mean,
obviously that's that's a mentality problem with organizations more than anything else, but that trickles down. And obviously, players, if they have a coach who then gets kicked because they've got results, that's affecting their
yeah.
mentality about how they view coach.
I mean, if we're going to take on Richard Lewis and Thorin's party line of it's the fault of the organisation. I mean, it's pretty true though, isn't it? The organisations are their people, are the managers, they're the people, are the businessmen who are taking the decisions like that. How is it impacting your team? How is it impacting your future success, etc. So I feel like organisations really need to wake up and say, hang on a minute, Rome wasn't built in a day. So
And I mean, did you? I don't know whether you saw this, but there was an interview again at Real Sport, not by me, but by Will, who
oh,
interviewed Gade, and
yeah,
he said how obviously he asked him about no, was it the Gade one or was it the AZ one? Anyway,
it was
one of the North interviews where he said that actually the organization was the one making the decisions about
yeah,
the
that was with
lineup. It's
AZ.
not the players, yeah. It's not the players that are saying, "Oh, we want MSL gone." It's the organization
I
going,
know.
"Right, why is this player not performing how we want him
It's
to?"
absolutely disgusting, I think. It
It needs
makes
to be a balance.
look at bloody football teams, soccer, football, whatever you want to bloody call it. The decisions are made by the manager. The decisions are not made by the chief executive unless you live unless you support a club which is run by a bunch of corrupt businessmen who take control of everything. The manager's job,
But then,
like the roster,
but the problem is, like, it needs to be that somewhat democratic system where you
proportional
don't want
rep.
it to be a pretty much. You don't want a situation like on the Imperial where Esperanto's like, fuck
Running.
Crystal, I'm not playing with him,
Oh
I don't like him, I
God.
don't like his haircut, I'm just going to sit here and do my own game. You can't have that to the
Yeah.
point where a player can then get a leader removed because he just doesn't like, he doesn't want to give him a chance. But you don't really want the North model of, oh, you guys like this guy and you just won a tournament with him and you had like a bit of a dodgy result. He is gone. He is dead to you.
Yeah.
We've just brought in some players that we've not even consulted you about. We're just bringing them in. Have fun, because that's going to cause problems. But you also don't want it to be the responsibility of a sole individual, or there needs to be at least a level of discussion. Because if the players say, look, right, we understand that this player is not great or this coach isn't great at the moment, but we have faith in them. Players could negotiate if they said, hey, okay, if this player in 2 months or this coach in 2 months hasn't improved us by a certain amount, we'll take a pay cut or we'll do whatever. We'll do whatever it takes because we have faith that in the future it will pay off.
That's just it, isn't it? It's just as organisations don't. I just don't think organisations don't have trust in their players. To me, they trust
I think
themselves, but they
that's true.
trust the players, and that's wrong. So, do you have anything else you think we can discuss? Because I'm stuck for ideas. In all honesty.
I cannot think of anything off the top of my head. I don't think there's been any particularly interesting rumours
No.
or anything.
Next podcast, which will probably be about next weekish, we can talk about what's it called? We can talk about good old ECS season 6 finals because Astralis, sorry, whoever it might be, could have another trophy in their hands.
Mouse sports.
Okay, that is a bit ambitious.
Do you know what? I like to be ambitious. As I say, G2 are winning DreamHack Winter,
Yeah,
and
Mouse are winning
um,
ECS season 6 finals.
yeah. Well, it's not going to be Liquid, is it? So,
Yeah, that's fair enough. Fair enough.
ha 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 ha.
It's fair enough. So, thank you for coming on the podcast, Julius. I think we're going to cut it short now.
Okie dokie.
Yep, we've run out of things to talk about, and we'll see you all roughly next week. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.